just tell us when we're ready to go. Okay, hi everybody. I'm Tammy Nash. Welcome to DVTV in Space for Friday, May the 26th. I'm here today with David Taffet.
I keep her straight.
Yeah, that's the wrong word.
I keep her honest.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
We're missing a couple of our usual suspects. Israel's gone camping, and Brandy is doing Miss Gay US of A tonight. Is that S4? I can't remember where it is.
I think the Roundup.
Roundup. And Brad Pritchett is off being Brad. He's always busy, got something going on.
We can still talk to them.
Sure, we'll do that because then we don't look crazy at all.
No.
All right, let's talk first of all about what we've got going on this weekend. You can always check our gay agenda in the front of our paper each Friday, and then we have an arts and entertainment calendar in the back. So let's talk a little bit about things that are going on this week.
This week is, because it's a holiday weekend, not a whole lot going on, but during the week, June 1st is Pride at City Hall. City Hall is holding 3 events this week. The first one, Pride at City Hall, is going to be in the lobby of Dallas City Hall. And the main 2 things that will happen is they're going to unfurl a gay pride flag and a trans pride flag that will be in the lobby for the full month. And then there's a history exhibit that we helped put together. UNT is the one who actually put the whole thing together. We submitted some photos that they could use from our archives at Dallas Voice. And it's an exhibit about the history of the LGBT community in Dallas, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. But that opens on Thursday in City Hall at noon. Next weekend,
we got.
You were going to talk about this.
Yeah. Well, let me mention this first, real quick. On the 31st, Gala, North Texas, the Gay and Lesbian Association of North Texas, is hosting a screening of Robert Camino's documentary Upstairs Inferno. It 6:30 p.m. with a reception. 7 p.m. is when the film starts, and then there'll be a Q&A. In case you don't know, and it's at Angelica Film Center at the Shops at Legacy in Plano. In case you don't know, Robert made this documentary about a bar called the Upstairs Lounge in New Orleans, and in 1973, someone set fire to that. I think they locked the doors or blocked the door from the outside so people could not get out, and they set fire, and a whole lot of people died in that. It was the largest mass murder of LGBT people up until June 12th of last year when the shooting happened at Pulse. So that's a very important documentary, and that is the 31st at the Angelica. Next Friday night on June 2nd, we have Metro Ball. That's a fundraising event for the Greg Dolgener Memorial Fund, Memorial AIDS Fund, and they're going to have Taylor Dane as the headliner, and CeCe Peniston will be singing. Well, the 2 of them together are headliners. And American Idol favorite David Hernandez will be performing. That is going to be at S4 on Cedar Springs, and like I said, that's a fundraising deal. Watch our paper next Friday. We're going to have an interview with Taylor Dane and talk a little bit about what she's doing these days.
That should be fun. And Metro Ball's from 7 to 10 p.m. It benefits just one of the most wonderful volunteer organizations in the city, and we really should have them on. The Greg Dolgener Fund pays for things, fills in where grants don't cover, and it's things like
an emergency expense, like somebody stole your wallet, or
somebody's refrigerator breaks down. Well, without your refrigerator, you can't keep medicines at the right temperature. You can't keep your medicines. People get sick, and so just those little things, or somebody who can't get to work because he needs to replace a tire and can't afford to do that. And they're doing that kind of thing all the time. But it's all those very non-glamorous things that they do. And the other AIDS agencies just really rely on them. Great work that they do.
We got a lot of other things that are going on over the next couple of weeks. June 3rd, Black Tie Brunch. That's a new event where people who maybe cannot afford the ticket or don't want to spend the money for the ticket for the big dinner in the fall get to go to the brunch and enjoy that. And again, all of the money from that goes to the beneficiaries for black tie. We have Bloom and Ball, which benefits AIDS Interfaith Network, also on the 3rd. Different Strokes Golf Association has a tournament coming up on the 3rd. That's a busy day. And
then June 7th, which is the following Wednesday, because it's right after the council meeting, or right before the main council meeting. The mayor is going to give his Pride Proclamation declaring June Gay Pride Month in Dallas. The one that you skipped, and we'll talk about...
Well, I wanted you to come back and talk about that now.
Let's talk about this one a little bit. The Turtle Creek Chorale is presenting their last program of the season called In Your Dreams. And it's Friday night, Saturday night at 7:30, and then Sunday afternoon at, I think, 2:30. Tickets are at turtlecreekchorale.com. It's down at City Performance Hall. Now, Sean, when I was talking to him, said that they were breaking with their tradition. They're going back to their old tradition. Their concerts used to always have a purpose, and that was AIDS.
Yeah.
They have a new purpose. And one thing that Sean found was that...
Sean is Sean Baugh,
who's
artistic director.
Artistic director. He started out with a concept, and that was just dreams. And as he was talking to people in the chorale, he comes up with a concept, not with songs he wants to sing, just a concept, and this was dreams. And he decided, as he's talking to some people, sometimes your dreams turn into nightmares. And one of them, it grew out of his concern for the youngest member the chorale's ever had. This member, you have to read the story, but basically...
It's in the paper this week.
This week's paper, yeah. What happened to him was he got hooked on meth, went into a psychotic rage, basically. Ended up in the hospital. He was running down the street naked and got hit by a car, and he ended up handcuffed in a hospital.
That's how he woke up, right?
That's how he woke up.
That's the next thing he remembers.
And he realized this isn't normal. He had enough presence of mind or enough time to think as he was recovering in the hospital for weeks. This isn't normal, and he needed to do something. And his journey was not directly to treatment. He ended up telling his family, I need to go into treatment, and then ran away again. Finally, he got into treatment. Yesterday, I believe, was his 1-year anniversary at Senecor, which is a treatment facility. They have one residential house in Fort Worth, but they're around the state. They have about 5 or 6 different residences. And he's been getting treatment. It's a behavior modification program. But what it does, it's a holistic treatment program. So in this program, the residents work, but they also get counseling. And the idea for them is to learn how to live a good life and a healthy life. And not just how to do it, but make plans. It's not just this abstract thing, but to make plans for once they graduate from this program, which takes 1 to 2 years to complete, what they're going to do with the rest of their lives. And his plan, he'd like to become an substance abuse counselor. So he's planning on going to school after he finishes this program. Meanwhile, he's working, and the working actually helps pay for the program.
That's good.
So
it's good. I did not know that part of it.
Yeah.
Along with the story, his interview with this young man. It's James Parsons, and Sean. We have some statistics about meth use, and sometimes it's hard to get more recent statistics. What we found in 2008, the U.S. government estimated that 13 million people have used meth, and that 529,000 people were regular users. That's 2008. I bet it's probably a little higher, maybe these days.
I think it's not a little bit higher. I bet it's 2 or 3 or 10 times higher.
And don't think just
when I say 10 times higher, I think it might be that much more. I found it interesting. CDC had nothing current on it. That's where I got some of these older statistics. I found it fascinating. There are no current statistics that I can find.
I wonder why that is. I don't know. I know sometimes it takes them a while to compile stuff, but this is almost 10 years.
That's almost 10 years old.
They should.
I think that, what was it, 300,000 regular users?
529,000.
500,000. I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Not I wouldn't be surprised. I know the number of users now is in the millions.
I would imagine. 2007, 4.5% of high school seniors and 4.1% of 10th grade students reported having used meth at least once. Drug overdose deaths involving psychostimulants with abuse potential.
And psychostimulants include methamphetamines and other types of drugs that are related to that. And
we were talking about the increase. Overdose deaths involving these drugs increased from 5% in 2010 to 11% in 2015. So you see, that's 5 years, the increase there in the number of deaths. So you know that usage is way up. And it's just...
Right. Yeah, when I was talking to James, he was talking about how after he was in the hospital, he was sober for a month and a half, and then he had these urges that he just couldn't resist without any help. I asked him, how are you now? And he said, well, I still have those urges, but I have people around me to help me overcome those. Plus, he's locked in this facility in the evening, so he can't get out to get it. But, and I asked him, how are you going to cope after you get out? And he said he's working on his plan. He doesn't, after a year there, he doesn't have a complete plan how he's going to do it. He just knows
that he's going to do it.
He knows he's going to. He knows he has to, because he had no control.
That's the thing about meth and drugs like that. Some of them like, I'm going to smoke a joint and then I'll be fine, and not have to have any more. But some drugs really draw you in, and I've seen the pictures. You see this picture of some beautiful young woman with the beautiful hair and skin complexion, and then 2 years later there's a mugshot of her, and it's just like death walking. It is such a deadly disease because it is so addictive and because it just has such a hold.
And here's where some of the psychosis comes in. He was up at that point where he finally ended up in the hospital. He had been up for 5 days. It just keeps you awake.
Yeah.
So he had been up for 5 days and he has no memory of what happened.
Yeah.
He said the last thing he remembered, he was just having a good time at somebody's house, and next thing he remembers, he's in the hospital.
Okay, well, we're coming to the close of our first segment. Let me say this real quick. Read the story. It's called Singing Dreams. That's the title of the story in the paper. And In Your Dreams is the title of the TCC concert. We're going to go to a break, and you're going to get a chance to watch a video from DVTV on the Scene with Brad Pritchett, produced and edited by hold on.
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry, that's very loud. Produced and edited by Brian Kennedy at Ruby City. It was a Red Foundation party last weekend.
And this is why I always say don't use phones.
Yes, I know. And here we're going to go to break. Thank you.
Let the joyous news be spread. The wicked old witch at last is dead.
What's up, DVTV fans? Brad here, and I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. In fact, we're nowhere near it, because tonight we're in the Ruby City celebrating with the Dallas Red Foundation. DRF is putting on one heck of a party tonight honoring Joe Pachetti with performances by 2017 Miss Red, Jada Fox, and more. Shirtless bartenders, free drinks, and music. Oh my! We're not in Kansas anymore, and we're taking you through the event. Let's check it out.
You're watching DVTV.
Every year you come up with the most exciting kind of themes. So walk me through that process, and how do you guys choose that?
Well, for 2 years ago we did our fashion show, and we decided to switch it up last year, and we came up with Wonderland randomly. And then after that was a success, literally the day after it was over, I said, well, I was thinking Emerald City about Wizard of Oz and what we could do next year, and Red, Ruby, we can change.
Girl, and you know the gays love a Wizard of Oz reference, honey. They love a good Wizard of Oz reference. Okay, so after this is over, what's next for you guys?
There's always something going on. Next is Red Party 9, but there's always volunteer work in the middle, so we're never ending.
Okay. Congratulations on an awesome night and a spectacular event. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
How excited are you to represent this organization?
Extremely excited. I mean, they've done so much for the community here in Dallas, elsewhere as well, so I'm very excited to be a part of this foundation. It's going to be wonderful, a wonderful year.
DVTV was there the night that you clinched the crown, honey, and so we were rooting for you. I personally was rooting for you. So as Miss Red, what's your duties tonight?
My duties tonight to make sure everyone has a good time. You know, that's pretty much it. Just make sure everyone has a good time. All of these auction items that we have, make sure people bid on them because a lot of people donated their time and effort to put these items up. So making sure that happens, that's part of my job tonight.
You're being honored tonight with the Dallas Red Lifetime Achievement Award. How does that feel to you?
It feels great. I'm really thrilled. I'm humbled and honored both.
You do so much for the LGBT community all the time. There's not a single event that I don't see you at. So what is it that makes you kind of want to stay involved and keep giving back?
I think my parents taught me that if you have, you give back, and I'm thrilled that I can do so.
A tin man on Tinder, but he had that sex appeal. Swipe right, cause I knew he had funds to steal. So we hit that yellow brick boulevard. Through a jungle party, they was going hard. Elephants twerking, monkeys that fly. Lions, tigers, bears, oh my. Had to run, there's no place like Picasso. Met the king of the jungle looking like Mufasa. He said, oh girl, my booty fat. He turned around and said, clap, clap, clap. He had cake galore. When it shake like that, make a kitty cat roar. You can look, but no touching. Now everybody get low like a munchkin.
Well, tonight definitely took us over the rainbow and back again. DRF definitely knows how to throw down. And if you're interested in learning more or how to get involved, simply visit DallasRedFoundation.org. Until next time, from the local scene to your computer screen, I'm Brad.
Okay, hey, we're back. That was Ruby City DVTV on the scene video with Brad Pritchett and Brian Kennedy at Ruby City, a Red Foundation event last weekend. So
that was raising money for Legacy Counseling Center. Do we know how much they raised yet?
I don't know, but I remember hearing them say it was one of the best ever.
Well, I
so
know
they
got a very
lot of money.
nice donation right at the end. Specifically, all this money is to go directly to Legacy. So I know they did well.
I think the event was in honor of Joe Pachetti, and I believe one of his friends made a really large donation. So yeah, I heard that it was the best ever, or one of the best ever. So that's excellent. It's good cause, and they always need the money. So
speaking of bad causes,
a good cause, bad people. We're going to talk a little bit about the Texas legislature. We have. Today's Friday. We have basically 2.5 days left. Sundays.
Whether they work through Sunday and.
Yeah, well, Sunday's the last day, or Monday's the last day.
I think Monday's the last day.
I thought it was Sunday. But it's almost over. And at this point, we don't have the dreaded bathroom bill. But they have a couple of days left to work on it. They're fighting over it.
And they're talking about a special session if we don't get a bathroom bill, because it is that important.
Dan Patrick, yes, indeed. Everybody needs somebody policing them in the bathroom. Where we stand right now, there was a bill. It was
the adoption bill.
Yeah, out of the House. I can't remember the number. It was a House bill, and it did pass. It passed the House and the Senate, and it has gone to the governor's desk.
Now, that bill, what it does, it allows an adoption agency to discriminate, which some of them are doing now anyway. The bad part is it allows these adoption agencies that discriminate. And when I say discriminate, I'm not being specific, because you can discriminate against whoever you like to discriminate against.
Based on your religious beliefs.
Religious beliefs. So, certainly we don't want Muslims adopting our good kids that have so many homes available to them. We don't want Jewish people adopting these kids into homes that
good
might
Christian
love them.
children.
because these are good Christian children, even though they might not be.
Right.
Because who knows who these kids are? They're just kids who don't have homes. You can prevent transgender people who love kids. You can prevent gay and lesbian people from adopting.
Single parents.
Single parents, people who've been divorced before.
Interracial marriages. I know.
Let's not even go there because, how can we have an interracial couple?
Interracial gay couple.
Right. Especially, they might adopt an interracial kid or something and give them a home. This bill allows for discrimination, but these horrible agencies, when I say horrible agencies, I mean agencies that see a parent, or it's not that they see a parent that's a qualified parent, they don't see them that way.
Someone who is qualified, but they don't see them as qualified.
Yeah,
they refuse that.
And so what this bill can do is, once it's signed into law, what it will do is not only continue to allow them to discriminate and continue to take kids out of the foster system to place or not place, because they can discriminate against the kids too. If a kid says he's LGBT, and a large portion of kids in the foster system are LGBT,
homeless children,
thrown out of their houses, by their parents for whatever reason. But it gives funding to these agencies. That's the new part. That
state and federal funding.
And they're not expanding the funding. If they were expanding the funding for some of these programs, I wouldn't mind as much. It's not. It's going to take money away from places like Promise House and Jonathan's Place and other places that really are looking for the best parents. They're not looking for the best straight white Christian parents. They're looking for the best parents. That includes straight white Christian parents too. But it will look for the best parents, and it's going to be taking money from them, which is criminal.
Yeah. Like I said, it takes our tax dollars that we pay and allows them to use that money to discriminate against us. So, and it is House Bill 3859.
Do you know how many kids are looking for homes right now?
And then like 70,000?
70,000 kids at any one time are looking for a permanent home in Texas. You think we have that many parents who are looking for kids in this state? We don't.
Well,
ever.
Well, we don't have that many parents looking for kids who these agencies are going to, see as qualified parents.
One of the reasons that this upsets the LGBT community so much is that not only, like I said, not only can they discriminate against the parents, but they can discriminate against the kids. So you have a special needs kid. They're not good at placing those. You have an LGBT kid. They're going to place the kid that's not an LGBT kid because they see that kid as being a problem child. So we get more than our share of LGBT kids who are never placed, who are always living in group homes, group settings, things like that. That's why Promise House had to expand their programs for LGBT kids. That's who's out on the streets.
Yeah, a large majority.
About 40% of kids on the street are LGBT.
And that's compared to the fact that LGBT youth make up a smaller percentage of the population overall, but we are disproportionately large percentage of homeless youth are LGBT.
When I go off on a rant on this, I want to go after those parents who have thrown their gay kids out of the house.
If we send David Taffet to Austin, to the state legislature, he's going to introduce a bill that allows people to file criminal charges against someone who tosses their child. I agree.
If you and I were married, God forbid.
Oh, God forbid.
Okay, so we have a kid, and I come to my senses and divorce you. And I get custody of the kids. I could sue you for child support.
Right.
Or vice versa.
Right.
When a married couple splits, if both parents stay together but they throw the kid out of the home, why can't that kid sue them for child support?
I agree. Well, most of the time those kids are going to be hiding out somewhere. They don't know what to do. They have nowhere to go.
And that's what ends up being the problem, that the kids are hiding. The kids are, couch surfing when they're doing well. They're
selling themselves to pay for food, and a lot of times they get into drugs, and it usually leads nowhere fast.
Right.
Let's talk real quick about the transgender bills, the bathroom bills that are targeting our transgender people. So Senate Bill 6 passed in the Senate very easily. It went to the House, where the Speaker of the House kind of shuffled it over here to the State Affairs Committee, and I don't think they even had a hearing in that committee. It didn't go anywhere with that committee.
But it was put in a committee to die.
Yes. But then someone in the House introduced an amendment to Senate Bill 2078. And this amendment basically regulates use of restrooms in schools. So it targets transgender children, not just adults, but transgender children. And, they tried to say, well, it's not as bad as SB 6. Well, discrimination is discrimination, and these are children. So they tacked it onto this bill, which meant it had to go back to the Senate then, because it was not the same as it.
Right.
So and the guy who introduced it, I believe, we were arguing about this name, I believe it's Larry Taylor introduced that 2078. And Representative Patty added the amendment. And the guy who introduced it in the Senate said, this doesn't go far enough, so we're not going to approve this bill. I don't want them to approve my bill with this amendment, because this amendment isn't mean enough to transgender people. So what they did is they took Senate Bill 6, basically,
which discriminates against all trans
everybody, everywhere, all the trans people everywhere, all ages, and attached that as an amendment to Garnett Coleman's legislation.
Who has a gay kid?
Does he? I didn't know that. Attached it to a piece of legislation that's basically just they call it a catch-all bill that allows county government to keep operating the way they need to, and sent it back to the House. And Garnett Coleman's like, no way, you're not doing this. I'll pull the bill. We won't pass the bill.
I think it was done for spite.
Oh, surely. Of course it was.
To attack him personally, as opposed to just putting it on any bill.
But so at this point, we have them fighting because it's not nasty enough. And Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, he is standing back. I have to stop and just not use curse words after that name. He's standing back there threatening that there will be, either you pass the bathroom bill the way he wants it, where it just targets everybody, or he's going to force a special session. It's a bathroom bill and a.
Do you know how much a special session costs?
Yeah.
It's in the millions to have a special session, because a bathroom bill that every major business in this state has said will hurt business.
Right.
They're expecting, North Carolina lost about $1 billion in their first year of business. They're expecting Texas, which has a much larger economy, to lose multiple times.
It's already cost us several $100,000 worth of negative press around the country.
No, millions. So, it's in the millions, the negative press. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I misread the figure.
Negative press has been, it's been thousands and thousands of articles written about Texas, all of them negative.
Yeah. So. My boss, Leo Cusimano, is publisher of Dallas Voice, and he is watching the show. Hi, Leo. And he just pointed out Dan Patrick cannot call a special session. And no, that's true. Only the governor can call a special session. Dan Patrick is threatening to force a special session by refusing to allow necessary bills that allow the government to keep operating. He's going to force the session by not letting these bills we have to have get passed. Right. But real quick, we're getting close to the end of this segment, but I wanted to let me find my paper here about.
You're not going to find it in that mess.
I found it.
You're not going to find it.
This is from the Associated Press. I found it right here.
You're not going to find it.
As bathroom bills targeting transgender individuals falter across the U.S., fizzling even in conservative bastions like Kansas and Arkansas following the upheaval over a North Carolina law last year, Texas Republicans are doubling down in their determination. So in other words, everybody in the whole damn country says, this sucks, y'all. This is not a good idea.
Your phone is telling you shut up.
I know, and I'm not finished. I don't listen to my phone. This is a bad idea. Don't do it. And Texas Republicans are like, oh, hell yeah, we're going to have a special session if you don't do it the way you want to. So
I'm the one who doesn't listen to phones.
Yeah, I know that too. All right, it is time for a break. But let me tell y'all what you're going to see in the break. We have Moyette, who is our DVTV in Space Pet of the Month from the SPCA of Texas. So she's just a doll. Somebody really needs to go get her. So y'all watch the video. We'll be back in a minute.
You www.spca.org. And as always, we appreciate you supporting the SPCA of Texas. Thank you so much for watching. Hi, my name is Victoria, and I'm with the SPCA of Texas. Thank you so much for watching the Pet of the Month. This is Moyette, and Moyette is a super sweet, gentle pit bull mix who is looking for a good forever home, and maybe that is with you. She loves her belly rubbed, and honestly, I think she's going to be a great couch potato. So if you're looking for someone to hang out and just to watch some TV with you, this is going to be your girl. She's a 3-year-old pit bull mix, and she's been with the SPCA for some time, and she just really needs a good home with somebody who's going to love her. She's had a pretty rough life. So anyway, if you want to find out more about Moyette, you can come on by the Jan Reese Jones Animal Care Center, which is west of downtown Dallas, and we are open daily from noon to 6. Now, we've extended our hours Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We are open until 7 o'clock, so it gives you an extra hour to find your new best friend. If you have pets at home, feel free to bring them by. You can even do a meet and greet and see if everybody gets along. So you can find out more about Sweet Moyette at www.spca.org. And as always, we appreciate you supporting the SPCA of Texas. Thank you so much for watching.
Called an insurance agency and they would give you a quote from the company they represented. But when you call the Stephen Graves Insurance Agency, Stephen gets quotes from all the companies he represents, bringing you the best coverage at the best possible price. For home or auto,
call 877-599-0808. Stephen Graves Insurance.
Okay, we're back. You got to see a Stephen Graves ad, and like I said, Moyette, who is our pet of the month, and she is just a doll. She loves having her belly rubbed. You didn't see that video, did you?
No, I didn't.
She's laying on her back the whole time so they can rub her belly. She's just a doll. So, but we're going to go from a really sweet dog to
a pit bull.
Worse than a pit bull.
A mean one.
A mean pit bull, a ill-mannered pit bull. We're going to talk about the special election this weekend, or yesterday, in Montana for a congressional seat, and a Republican named
Gianforte.
Gianforte, I believe his name is Paul Gianforte. A reporter from a local newspaper. It was Wednesday night, the night before the election, and they were having a barbecue at his campaign headquarters and for their volunteers. And a reporter was there, and there was a Fox News crew in there filming in a separate room, and the reporter from the local paper went in, was using his phone as a recorder, and he said, "Hey, tell me, what do you think about the healthcare bill in Congress right now?"
And the way he asked it, completely open question. He wasn't, "Hey, what do you think of that healthcare bill? It's bad, huh?" It was not, a targeted question. It was just, what do you think of the health care bill? It was the day before the election. It's a legitimate question. And he was really, from listening to him, a real mild-mannered reporter. He was not, he wasn't abusive.
I didn't hear how he asked the question. I think he was pretty insistent on asking it and maybe getting the guy's campaign
to answer.
Well, yeah, but the campaign called him as very aggressive and said that he was very pushy about all this and really caused it. Basically, what happened? And everybody that was around that saw and or heard it said, "No, that's not really how it happened." He was body slammed. The guy got pissed off at him and basically threw him on the floor. I think he kind of punched him a couple of times, broke the guy's glasses.
And the reason was because his answer wasn't what most voters in Montana or anywhere else want to hear.
Yeah.
We're for, what's my position on healthcare? It's taking away pre-existing conditions, or putting back in pre-existing conditions. It's taking away subsidies for people who can't afford it. It is giving you tax credits. Won't that be helpful when you can't afford to buy your insurance in the first place and you're not paying much in taxes anyway? Just what we need are some tax credits. How's that going to work?
Yeah.
How's that going to get me insurance? It's not. So that was what was behind it, and it needs to be clear. It's because his answer, he knew, was out of sync and out of tune with what people in Montana would want.
He didn't want to answer it, and he had been asked the question, I think, by a different reporter. The congressional candidate's name is Greg Gianforte. He did win, by the way. I think maybe a third of the votes had already been cast.
A third to half of the votes had already been cast. So
in early voting, and the reporter's name was Ben Jacobs. He's with the Guardian newspaper. Now, Mr. Gianforte has been cited for misdemeanor assault, could face 6 months in a county jail and a fine of up to $500 or both if convicted. Now, so the thing is, you look at this and you see that it is just an outgrowth, an offshoot of the way that I think Donald Trump talks about the press.
Here's why I hope he is punished severely, and by severely, I hope there is a jail component in it for him. Here's why. It's not what he did to this one reporter. Politicians are feeling as though they can be very aggressive with reporters. Everybody relies on reporting. You might not like my reporting, you might not like Tammy's reporting, but you are relying on reporting. That's where you're getting the news. That's how you know what's going on around you.
Or don't know.
Or don't know. If there weren't reporters, or reporters were afraid to ask questions. I ask questions like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
One of these reporters, or you or I, are going to end up dead.
Well, yeah. And I think it all started with Trump and his evil press or fake news bullshit stuff that he...
You can say bullshit.
I can say bullshit. All his fake news bullshit.
This isn't public airwaves. This is on the internet.
So, I mean, on the 25th, yesterday, 12/16, Northeast Tarrant Tea Party Twitter account. I don't know, you probably won't be able to see this. I'm going to hold it up. Body slam every journalist. That was a tweet that was sent out. Someone with them.
That's fascism.
The account has been deleted. Or no, the account deleted the tweet. And president of the Northeast Tarrant Tea Party, Julie McCarty, said, we have several people who tweet for us. I guess they thought this was funny, but it was in very poor taste. We removed it. They also said that person will not be tweeting. Here's another thing that I saw on the internet.
I'm glad that they took responsibility for it, though.
Well,
no.
They took it down, but it was there. Here's another thing. There was talking about the idea that you can be violent or aggressive to journalists, reporters. Texas's governor, Greg Abbott, I saw a picture of him holding a target from shooting practice, and he was talking just after he signed a bill that lowers the fee for handgun licenses, and I have no problem with that. I don't have a problem with people having guns.
They're lowest in the country now.
And he held up this target, as part of the ceremony, I suppose, for signing this bill. But what he said was, I guess I can show this to all the journalists now. Something along those lines. In other words, threaten them.
Reporters in Austin need to challenge him and say, are you threatening my life?
They won't.
They need to.
You'll have to go to Austin and do it.
I know I do. James is down in Austin.
James Russell. He wrote a story for us analyzing the last few days of the...
Somebody needs to challenge him. That can't go unchallenged. It's not okay to threaten people's lives when they're just doing their jobs.
Everybody, and
it's okay for somebody like the governor, if he feels that certain reporters are not treating him with some sort of respect.
Mm-hmm.
And by respect, I don't mean not asking questions. I mean being rude, being aggressive themselves. It's okay for him to challenge that. It is not okay for him to say, this is what I'm going to do to reporters, because he's not going to do it.
No, but somebody else will. The governor said it was okay. And it all goes back, I really believe it all goes back to Donald Trump.
Which is why I want Gianforte to spend some time in jail.
Yeah.
I don't care that it'll take time out of Congress for him. An example needs to be made. Montana needs to say to their elected officials and to other elected officials around the country, it is not okay to threaten somebody's life. Just like I am not going to go into any kind of office and when they don't answer my question, threaten their lives. I'm not going to do that.
Punch them or anything.
In any way, what I'm going to do is report what they said or didn't say. If they don't want to answer my questions, that's okay.
That's what we will write. That's what we will report.
We'll write. You take responsibility for not wanting to answer my question, or give me whatever answer you want to give. But it's not okay to threaten my life because you don't like that I'm asking you a question.
Right. Exactly. And what I was saying is it goes back to Trump and the example that he has set. He won the presidential election by being a bully. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he is a middle school bully, and I'm kind of thinking maybe that's where his intellectual level rises to, middle school. But the way he treats people, look at the video of him with the Prime Minister from Montenegro at the meeting this week in Europe. Trump just grabbed him by the arm and pushed him out of the way so Trump could be up front for the picture. And that's not okay. That is not okay.
Okay, so we know Trump's behavior has been horrible. We know he's representing us terribly. Gianforte's election, a number of those votes were cast ahead of time. Mm-hmm. It did take millions of dollars from the National Republican Party being put into that race at the last minute for it to be a tight race, even without this happening. What do you think this says about the 2018 congressional election?
I hope that it says that some people with some brains are going to prevail. Some people who are not right-wing extremist bullies, of either party. I don't want extremists of either party having control of our government. I want people from both parties who have some common sense and even some good manners every now and then.
Here's what I think. I think it says don't count Trump out. I think it says, the prevailing wisdom is, 2018, that's when we'll change over Congress. It's going to be easy. We're going to take all these seats. It's not going to be easy. We're going to have to work hard for every single seat and every single vote. We need to get out the vote. We need to get fair-minded people from both parties. We need
common sense.
We need fair-minded people from both parties to be working in the state legislature as well as in Congress. But I say we don't count Trump out at all. The more outrageous he is, the more his supporters follow him and love him.
I think you're probably right about that. It's been pointed out to me that Speaker of the House Paul Ryan is kind of a wimp. Once again, I mean, during the campaign, he was just going off about what a loser, and he didn't use that word, but what a loser that Donald Trump was. And yet, now that Donald Trump won, he's just right there puckering up to kiss his butt, like with, all these other sycophants. But here, when Gianforte, he says that, please don't arrest Mr. Gianforte. Let him, don't put him in jail for beating this guy up. He just needs to apologize.
He already apologized.
Yeah,
on advice of his attorney, because if he didn't, his sentence could be worse.
Yeah.
I don't take that apology as being genuine. I take the apology as being, okay, he's a little bit more gracious than some other people who've won office recently. He was contrite. He apologized. And it might have even been genuine. I shouldn't have done that.
He's not sorry that he did it. He's sorry he got caught doing it. Just like a toddler eating ice cream they're not supposed to eat.
Which is why an example needs to be made of this. It's not okay to act this way and then apologize for it. It simply isn't okay. What happens the next time?
Oh, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to shoot you in your face. I apologize. Doesn't work.
That was Mr. Cheney who did that.
That's right. He did, didn't he? Okay, I think it's time for a break. We're going to go for a break. We'll be back for more. So stick around. can't get you on one. We got to find a middle ground there. Okay, we got about 12 minutes left in the show today, so we're going to talk more about our not so favorite person today is
Hillary?
Mr. Trump.
Oh.
We're going to talk about Hillary. She's one of my favorites, but she
lambasted everybody.
she went after Trump in a very obvious but not direct way when she delivered a speech at her alma mater. I'm going to let you talk a little bit about it there, David.
Okay, so Hillary was the commencement speaker at Wellesley, which is her alma mater, and she was in law school at the time of the Nixon impeachment
We don't have any sound.
hearings.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's what she said. She said, "We were furious about the past presidential election of a man whose presidency would eventually end in disgrace with his impeachment for obstruction of justice after firing the person running the investigation into him at the Department of Justice." So really what she was doing was complete parallel between what Trump is doing and what Nixon was doing. What I liked, though, when there were some comparisons earlier in the week, the Nixon library was running away from Trump and saying, "Oh, no, Nixon was never that bad."
Yeah, and
So-
I'm glad to see Hillary Clinton coming back out and being more public now than she had been after the election. I mean, certainly understandable. It was a very tough situation.
Here's what I find funny. The one thing we're not doing, which we did during the Bush-Gore election, is we challenged Bush's legitimacy as president. Now, we might not like Trump as president, but nobody's challenging the legitimacy of the election, right?
I do every day.
Well, no, he was legally elected. Whether or not we like it, that's how the Electoral College system works.
Oh,
We're not
well,
going to-
you're not talking. You said legal. That's the difference between legal and legitimate.
But what Trump keeps doing in reminding people, and apparently before this trip, world leaders were told, if you want to get on Trump's good side, congratulate him on his major electoral victory. They were told to specifically, if you want to get on his good side, you have to congratulate him. He's still feeding on that. He is such a paranoid prick. I can say that on the air, right?
Sure. I call people assholes on here all the time.
He is such a paranoid prick that he is still so consumed with his election that he's not concentrating on being president.
I don't think he ever really gave a rat's ass about being president. He just wanted to win.
Okay,
It's all about winning, and he doesn't understand that winning in this game required you to put some commitment in it.
And doing a good job. You know, the best way he could win is if people who didn't vote for him turned around and said, you know, he's doing a good job.
Yeah,
That's
ain't
not going to
happening.
happen. Not going to happen at all.
That ain't
Okay,
happening.
so-
The people who did vote for him were kind of saying, ooh, he kind of sucks.
His latest numbers, 25% approval rating.
Yeah.
It's as low as it gets, just about. Okay, so I want to talk about his first three stops. First one was Saudi, second one was Israel, and third one was at the Pope.
Yes.
Now,
Okay.
the big deal was made about Melania and Ivanka not wearing a veil in Saudi Arabia, and the justification was the last two first ladies, when they were in Saudi Arabia, also did not veil themselves. Here's why that doesn't hold, and shows they were purposely disrespecting Muslims and a Muslim country.
Okay.
When they got to Israel and went to the wall, they both had one head and one head just on top, so they covered their heads to go to the wall.
Okay.
When they got to the Pope, Mrs. Trump looked like she was
Practicing for being a widow is what I've seen on the web.
she looked like she was from something out of The Godfather. She was in black, and she had veils, and she had everything else on.
I think I read somewhere on that today, just before I got here, that she has said, yes, she is Catholic, and she did that because that is respecting the Pope for her the leader of her religion.
I'm not saying she shouldn't have respected the Pope.
Oh, I
I
understand.
am not in any way saying she shouldn't have. I'm saying she respected the Pope, she respected Judaism, and in the same way, on the same trip,
She disrespected,
They
yes.
disrespected Islam. Now, it's okay for foreign leaders or wives of foreign leaders or daughters of foreign leaders to come to Saudi Arabia and not wear the veil. That has been, it's a compromise. It's something that they've given into. It's okay. It didn't hurt us diplomatically, but it says we're not going to even consider how Muslims see this. But we're real worried about whether Jews are seeing this with, you know, the little shmata on her head and the
what?
Shmata, rag.
Okay, shmata.
Or if she's, you know, in a veil and looks like something, you know, a grieving widow out of The Godfather. That was okay. That was important for her to do. If she actually is such a religious person and feels that she has to give such respect, you do the exact same equal respect for all three when you're on the same trip 1 or 2 days apart.
Yeah.
It was obvious that they were disrespecting. Now, Michelle Obama did not wear the veil when she was in Saudi Arabia, but on the Israel trip, but they were separate trips. They were, you know, just the optics of it just seemed to say, we're going to do one thing here, we're going to do something different here, and we'll do that same different thing here. It just said to me, especially coming from somebody who has disrespected that religion as part of his campaign.
Yeah.
That kind of person you'd want to go out of the way to bend over backwards and show, no, we're going to show extreme respect.
Yeah, well, you know, what do you expect? I don't know that they actually pay attention to what should be somewhere, maybe.
You know, and when I'm saying wear a scarf, I just mean a scarf over the head. I'm not even talking about decked out in the drag that she was in for the Pope. I'm just talking about something over the head. And it would have been noticed as she's doing that out of respect.
Yeah. This is one of the things about that trip, those stops that I noticed. They went to Saudi Arabia, and I'm still wondering who's paying for Ivanka and Jared Kushner to be there, because, you know, nobody elected them.
They're advisors.
I don't. What? But anyway, you know, they're traveling on our dime to go over there, and Ivanka made some big business deal while she was there. Something went through with, you know, huge money business deal
And that surprises you.
It doesn't surprise me, but it does piss me off. So there was that. So then they go to Israel, and Trump is talking. I saw a video. He's sitting there talking, and he's like, yeah, we just got back from the Middle East. You went from Saudi Arabia to Israel. Israel is in the Middle East.
Do you know how close they are? When you're right down at the tip of Israel, you can see Saudi Arabia over there.
Yeah.
Jordan is in between. It's just...
Jordan's little.
Well, and so is that part of Israel. In fact, you can walk from Egypt to Jordan across... what's the name of the city at the tip of Israel? But you can walk across it. But Saudi Arabia is right over there. You can see it.
See it from your front porch, kind of like, you know, Russia from Alaska.
You can see the mountains, actually. They're a little bit in the distance. But not
yeah,
that
and
far.
so, you know.
Yeah, he came back from the Middle East.
He'd been in the Middle East. I was watching the video of that, and he's sitting there, and he's talking. He's real serious. And over here on the right-hand, when you're looking, on your right-hand side, would have been Trump's left. There's a guy sitting on the couch, and he says that, and you see the guy go, oh, my God. You actually see the guy do this on the couch. Like, how can you be so stupid? But then they get to the Vatican, and I'm still wondering if the Vatican is going to tell them no about Gingrich's wife, who was his girlfriend when he was married to his second wife, who was in the hospital, and he had an affair. And so, you know, they're sending her to the Vatican as the U.S. ambassador to the Vatican. I want the Pope to say, oh, no, girl, don't come up in here.
I think that's a perfect choice.
But
I can't think of a better choice.
So they're doing the audience with the Pope, and you've got the women in their veils, and
I'm surprised he didn't send his second wife. Get her out of the country.
But I'm looking at this picture of Ivanka Trump, and I thought, oh my God, she looks like one of those porcelain dolls, you know, that come alive in the movies and are demon possessed. So.
You pulled this from the Washington Post. When did he say Germans are bad, very bad?
It was Thursday, with European officials in Brussels, Trump allegedly said the Germans are bad, very bad, and that's according to Germany's Spiegel Online, which cited unnamed sources in the room. Apparently, we are way down on time, but he was saying, I think the idea that he was trying to get across was that there's the German automobile industry. There's a trade deficit there, and they're not gonna quit selling their cars. But the language that he used, it was like calling them bad. And I think the first word that this German newspaper used actually translated as evil. Evil, very evil people. So everybody's kind of pissed about that.
I think it was while Angela Merkel was here. Somebody said, "Ooh, here comes the head of the free world," and Donald Trump.
Okay, y'all, it's time. We're going to wrap things up. It's been another fun Friday on DVTV and Spayse, and you got to see DVTV on the scene at the Ruby City party. A lot of things coming up. We talked about that. Pick up the Dallas Voice. One thing we didn't mention is Dallas Voice. This week, it's our swimsuit issue. And if you like to look at handsome men in skimpy bathing suits, this is the issue for you. There's a whole pictorial layout in the back. So pick that up, check it out, and get the agenda, see what all's going on, read about Turtle Creek Corral, read about the legislature, and
have a happy Memorial Day.
Have a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you here next Friday. Thank you.